Good evening. Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting of Ayer, Massachusetts on Thursday, October 3rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Ayer Town Hall. This is a hybrid meeting. This meeting of the Finance Committee will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this meeting in person. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom, meeting ID 860-8777-1519, or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.ma.us, or 978-772-8220, extension 100 prior to the meeting. Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. The first order of business is we have minutes from the September 19th meeting and September 25th meeting. Thank you, Eric, for preparing these. Any discussions, changes?
There's a typo.
Ah.
I do that on purpose. Let's see if anyone catches it.
There's, what is it? The last line of the last meeting. Bob is spelled ob. That's the only thing I found.
Oh, okay. But I have made a correction. Okay. Any other comments, questions?
I do actually know, because I looked it up afterwards, I just took a stab. Dan Van Skalkwick's name is spelled incorrectly, if anyone cares to correct that.
Okay.
We obviously care to correct that. We trusted you.
It's right on the September 19th minute.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, I will make sure that's noted. Okay, do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to pass the September 19th and September 25th meeting minutes as amended.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Jim?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the meetings minutes for the 19th and 25th September are approved and will be submitted to the town clerk for posting. Okay, outside committee updates. There's just, Bob, do you want to do a quick rate review update, or?
I wasn't prepared to, but I will.
Okay.
So we met on Tuesday at 4 for the rate review committee regarding transfer station fees and deficit. There was approximately hold on one second. I want to say it was about a $20,000 deficit. We were at $308,000, and the required amount was $322,000. So we had about a $3,000 shortfall because they had excluded the inclusion of the bulk item stickers, which was approximately $10,000. So we had some dialogue about how Dan had presented some alternatives for the to make up the deficit that included multiple variations of increasing the permit rates, anywhere from increase the single permit rate to by $5. Other recommendations: increase all the permits across the board by various amounts. So I can, if you look through the meeting the presentation. You'll see the various alternatives. The rate committee also had some other suggested alternatives that were presented and are up for investigation by Dan. And he's going to report back in the next meeting.
Right.
Okay?
Good, thanks. Yeah, and I think the next meeting is going to be, I'm looking on the calendar, I don't know if I think in October sometimes. And I think at that point, we're finally, they're going to vote on the new transfer station fees.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's due the 1st, right? It's calendar year for the stickers, right?
Yes.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're supposed to buy them before the 1st, so I think they tell you they start going on sale like November 1st or
November, yeah.
something.
Yeah, I know it's going to be later in October that the rate review will meet 1 week more and make the final decisions.
Right. There was a conflict with the town meeting or the election. I'm not sure which,
Yeah.
but I can give you the date. Want to bear with me for a sec? The 5th, according to this.
Oh, November 5th then? Or?
November 5th.
No, that,
Take it back, excuse me, October 15th.
oh, October, okay,
Say
right.
November 5th doesn't sound quite right.
Right, yeah. There was one scheduled for the 5th, but it's on October 15th.
Yeah, they haven't posted it just yet. So yeah, that's when the final.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the overall, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, the main takeaway was that we were going to hold, and again, this is up to the rate review, but the impression I got was that we'd hold on the bag
Correct.
rates and then work with the, look at.
Yeah, and there was,
the
yeah, there was
if
some
you're only-
permits.
Yeah, if you're only 20 grand shy, if you increase the bag rate like by a small amount, you'd make that up fairly quickly. I would
Yeah, well, the big issue was that apparently they're very high, compared to surrounding.
What, bag
communities.
rates?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they were.
Let me throw this out there. This would be a controversial topic.
Yeah.
What if we got rid of senior discounts?
Hey, easy.
That is,
Yeah. Well, there was some discussion, well, certainly they were
yeah,
gonna.
I'd vote.
They were talking about, hey, easy. Anyways, there was some discussion about increasing the senior rate by $5 and the second permit by $5.
Right.
There weren't, the second permit.
There probably aren't that many people with a second permit.
That's good point. So there's like 122, I believe, something like that, or 129 second
Great.
permits.
So you made $600.
Exactly, yeah.
what is the senior rate?
$60.
That's for the year.
Yes.
What's the
So we're
regular?
talking about the permit, the annual
Okay.
permit price.
The bag, do the seniors get a discount on the bags?
No.
No.
So I don't know that it's increasing the senior one.
Well, it depends how many senior permits there
Well,
are, right?
there's about, I have to go back and look at it, but I want to say there was about 700,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
725, somewhere around there.
If you do
So,
$5, that's $3,000, $4
Which
grand.
which is it was about, we came, I think, there, when all said and done, there's really about a $3,000 shortfall.
right,
And,
there was some
and again,
discussion about.
shortfall is,
Well, to not take from retained earnings, right?
exactly,
Correct,
yeah.
yeah.
But there is a retained earnings in that enterprise fund.
Correct,
So,
yeah.
there's some wiggle room.
So Robert was recommending that perhaps we could take it out of the general funds. Was it out of the general funds or was it out of the reserves?
No, out of the reserve fund.
Yeah,
'cause
okay,
I don't
to
think
make the
we-
deficit up, yeah. So,
So in any case, yeah, the final decision will be made on October 15th.
Pauline is raising her hand.
Oh, Pauline, do you have a comment? Hello?
Yep, she's coming.
I do, I'm trying to unmute, I'm sorry. With respect to the transfer station fees, this is the ongoing discussion, but as finance committee members, you all realize we have a approximately $2 million every year in free cash. So the shortfall of 13,000 for the FY25 transfer station should not be a problem. We should not be increasing fees to residents, seniors, or otherwise. If we have almost $2 million in excess revenues, I just want to share that with you. I shared it with the Board of Selectmen earlier today.
Good to know. Good, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, so that's where rate review is, and then capital planning hasn't, we haven't had the first meeting yet on that, and then the buy board.
There's no buy board.
Yeah, also.
Not yet.
Not yet. So, okay, so, and then, okay, so the next three items are just things we talked about last spring, and just wanted to circle around. And again, this is, I think, just nothing to be decided, but just to make sure we have it on our radar and are looking at it and aware of it as we go along. The main one is the senior center, and on the information that's been distributed to the select board, and there was the senior center presentation, which is pretty good, but that gets down to the dollars and cents of, what is the final projected cost at this point?
Just for constructing the building was $16 million.
Okay, yeah. So,
And that's before they actually know as well. I think we can probably assume it will be more than $16 million.
It's always
They
more,
ha-
right?
They haven't even tested the ground to see if it's actually feasible to build there. They actually do have to do all that first.
yeah, actually, I drove by there today. I think I was mentioning I was driving to Best Buy in Leominster, so I took the back road, and so there's a back entrance to DPW off of Bishop Street, and that's essentially the basic property is DPW property. But yeah, it's pretty wooded and undeveloped. So, yeah,
I think, maybe to Eric's explicit point, we should keep a close eye on it, right? Because there's even in this memo even has a sample Prop 2.5 override question on it.
It
right?
seems to be moving a little bit faster than, like, okay. I think the committee, the senior center building committee, needs to go back and have some more plans drawn or something. I don't know how I could possibly recommend or think it's a good idea to build a $16 million senior center. We have a elementary school that's falling apart. Kids can't even use the bubblers. But besides the point, they also didn't say anything about how much it would cost to put everything in the building. I mean, we have to buy things to put in the building, and how much it would cost in increased expenses to run this new building every year. Because you're not gonna go from this tiny senior center where we are now with hardly any staff to what they're proposing without increasing, without having to hire another janitor for a whole nother big building, as well as staff, trainers, this, that, the other thing. That would be a significant annual cost as well. And I know they talked about how much more efficient it would be to bring in the food with the
chef and stuff.
kitchen, what's the word I'm looking for? Restaurant grade kitchen or whatever. I'm probably using the wrong term.
Commercial kitchen.
Thank you, Jen. I knew restaurant didn't sound right. Commercial kitchen, but then how many more, it still would be an increased cost as well. You could say the cost per meal would go down, but if we're serving then more people, how much additional cost? There just, I think, needs to be much more numbers, and like I said, I think what they're proposed for the size of town that we have and the population, I think there needs to be some alternative propositions or proposals drawn up.
So I was looking at the cover page to the September 17th memo, and one of the talks about everything, and then has the follow-up items, and the third bullet is refine cost estimates and borrowing strategies.
Yeah, they're ready to put a shovel in the ground. They're pretty much ready to go.
That's how the committee feels, it seems like, right? Their
Yes.
committee feels.
Yeah. That's what,
Yeah.
sorry, that's what I meant by they. They seem ready.
I
to
figured.
Yeah,
Just being clear.
thank you very much.
I forgot where I read it. It was one of those emails that I think the estimate borrowing cost was like almost $300 per household per year. And I don't know for how many years. So I thought that, we were debating about the stormwater utility fund, and that actually costs less per year per household than the senior center would. And so I don't know how big it is to cost $16 million to build. But I guess these days maybe everything is expensive. I mean, I've read like towns when they build new schools, it costs like I don't know, a lot more. I guess our high school renovation was like $40-50 million. I don't know. But I thought the high school is much bigger. So I kind of envisioned senior center being just like the size of maybe 2 large houses or something. But I don't know how big this is. I haven't read enough about it.
It's large. It's 2 floors. I will say.
Yeah, I know it's 2 floors, but I think using DPW property is a really good idea. You don't have to buy land, but still, I don't know how big the place is, and I don't know how big senior centers are in towns around us. I know Harvard's senior center is also kind of falling apart, old house, but I think they probably also are in the process of building a new one. So I don't know.
I think it can be stated that what we currently have for a senior center is not really feasible and viable going forward for the long term. Something,
Agreed.
We're going to need something. I don't want to make it sound like I'm just wholly against something being done. It's not that at all.
No, I did 2 weeks ago, I stopped by and did a very quick tour, since it's essentially 3 rooms.
It doesn't take long.
Oh, yeah, it's really small. Yeah.
Yeah, so I absolutely, understand that and agree with that. I just think.
Along those lines, to piggyback on Jin's point about the stormwater thing, the stormwater thing should conceivably make our taxes go down, because it now comes out of the general fund. But I agree with their premise of you can never build too big in a way, right?
I don't agree with that.
Well, you don't never want to have to outgrow your facility, but I think you need to tone that down to like reality of that. Like $16 million for a town our size seems unfeasible in my opinion. Right. So the borrowing costs and all that other stuff are.
Especially considering, some people have raised several concerns in the past about buying a fire truck that for a fifth of the cost, that lasts a couple decades and protects the town from
how much is a fire truck?
and individuals from burning and dying. It was like 2 to 3 million, 2.5, 3 million, something like that, for the new fire truck, which is expensive. That is no.
That's a lot of money.
And certainly, I wouldn't have guessed that for a new fire truck. I had no concept.
Well, that was with that was the ladder truck too.
Yes,
That
yes,
was the
that was the new
top
big
end
one.
truck.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But just as far as like,
Nothing
and-
ever gets cheaper, right?
right, and that was just a couple million, and people were raising concerns about, what that does to the debt level on the town and burden on taxpayers, and here we are considering
Yeah.
16 million.
Or you got to give something up. Right. You can have your $16 million senior center, but you got to give something up for the next 15 years for the debt exclusion. Right. So.
Yeah. So I was just making some quick notes, and just maybe this is something that we can share with the senior center work group, is that I just made, and elaborate on these, Eric and Andy and Bob, a clear picture of cost. I was just trying to sum that, would that be?
That'd be total cost, right?
Yeah.
But there's like broken down to several things, right? There's pre-construction costs, which are probably not insignificant, right? You're doing your soil studies, you're doing your, whatever analysis, you gotta do the turtle study and all that other stuff of what's going on through there, and that's gonna take hundreds of thousands of dollars in X number of years, probably. Right, I don't know if Concom has looked at it yet, but right, they always have something to say.
Yeah, and that's actually part of these are their, on their further follow-ups is environmental site assessment, habitat assessment.
It makes you feel like you should almost do that stuff first, right? Because if there's an endangered turtle crossing that you can't violate, why spend $250,000 doing sample analysis and whatever?
But yeah, and actually that's the first bullet on this, is that, all of the site review.
I'd like a comparison too between what they proposed a year ago with the community center. That was, family center on one side and senior center on the other side. So we had dual purpose to. I know it didn't get very far, so I have no idea what the scope.
That was all the Save Peroni Park signs, right? Because they wanted to build in Peroni Park.
But so we went from that to this. What's the comparison? What would the cost have been? How large was that building?
I think there's the key is the building size, because the what happened with the first go around was that the location is what we ran into problems with. In other words, that we didn't want it. We were going to use some Peroni Park land, and that wasn't acceptable. So the whole thing just went away.
Acceptable
But
who?
Well, that's.
My point is, if you did have a community center, right? You want something you can walk to from downtown, I would assume, for everybody. Right, I don't know, they did say it was kind of a community center, but like, how's a kid out of high school going to get down to Bishop Street?
It was, if I remember, I think it was like two wings essentially, right? Like kind of shaped like.
I don't care. Make it the same building. Have the young kids hang out with the old people. That's always a good thing for society and the town in general, which is kind of what I'd rather have, right? But
sure.
I'm
not sure that's
that may be out of scope now.
I don't know that's what the seniors are looking for. I'm not saying they don't want the kids around. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying I don't know that that's what they're trying to.
To me, that's a better sell, right? Mm-hmm. I agree that the Council on Aging director is running this initiative, right? So that's what she's concerning herself with. But my argument would be, you could make a community argument of, if it's available for community space for whatever reason, then that is a better argument for a larger space than anything else. So
Yeah.
I'm with you on
Well,
that.
I think that they would, be open to the community for other uses, but I still don't think that the community necessarily needs that bigger space. And they said that there's going to be one room that will be able to kind of like host 100 people. The capacity is like about 100 people. I don't really know. The town hall, the upstairs, that great hall, that can hold way more than 100 people, right? Maybe the great hall isn't, appropriate for some, functions. So I don't know. But do we have a lot of needs for a room that, can hold 100 people? I guess, I remember last time when they gave the presentation that, they were saying that, you can never build something too big, like things will always grow. But
it's not.
It seemed to me that I agree with
true.
you guys. I'm kind of leaning towards just shrinking the size a little bit.
But it's not true that the population just continues to, our general population, but the baby boomers are a different demographic.
Yeah.
Every generation past them has been smaller.
Except
continually.
Gen Z just passed.
Yes, there's a kind of creeps back up again. But it's not like we're just going to continue to have more and more and more and a larger population, percentage population.
Unless people move to town.
Yeah.
It could be that Ayer will become attractive to seniors because actually I think in the last probably 10, 20 years, the new population moving into Ayer probably are actually, there are there are a lot of younger professionals, but there are also older people who move out of, Cambridge and, like her,
Or from Harvard into Ayer where, taxes are less, or Groton to Ayer.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Yes.
this is Carly.
Yes.
I just wanted to just highlight a couple of points.
Mm-hmm.
We actually, over 60 population is the fastest growing demographic in the town of Ayer right now. Second, all the pre-work that's being done with the senior center, surveys and all of the work with the consultant is actually being paid for right now by a grant. The town was successful in getting a $300,000 grant from the state and we also are using ARPA money that was approved by the select board. That's doing some of the due diligence work now. And then I just wanted to address like a comparison with like the concept of that community center. We never got that far. We wouldn't have anything to compare it to. It was only a concept plan. This, we're getting renderings and elevations for much more detailed work in this set of plans than we ever got that far for when we were thinking a community center.
Okay.
And I just, there is room, as Jen said, we are, building it with that in mind, that if we need a community space, that we're able to use this building at night in addition to the town hall, et cetera. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Carly, because on that last point, Dr. Petrosi did mention, I asked her about the community use, and she mentioned that is something to be considered in the planning and everything.
Well,
So-
okay. Well, it was more of an afterthought, right? Like her job is not to be a community center person. Right? She comes from an aging person.
Right. So when I say,
With an investment this size, I'm sorry, we looked at it and we've been looking at it for probably, God, it's been 3 to 4 years now. But I mean, the concept was floated out there. Obviously, people didn't like it, of doing a community center with a senior center at Ferroni Park. So we listened and we adapted, and it was decided to go forward with the senior center only plan on town-owned property.
Sure, but that comes at a cost.
Right. The other thing, there's just the entire plans in general too, like there's a library proposed in there. We have a library that's fairly quiet too. It's not like children are running around and there's baseballs being thrown back and forth and you can't read quietly or find a nice place to sit or whatever. There's just several things in there that I felt were like, let's put every single thing we could possibly want in this, which I understand that as well, but I feel is then, is room for
Isn't that negotiation 101?
discussion.
Right? Of like, well, we'll put the library and the gym and all that stuff, and then we'll take those things out, and like we still get everything that we actually wanted.
So
Paul
just
didn't answer
to sort of summarize, and when I started to do this is, and again, FinCom, as looking at the financial aspects, and again, this is a big financial aspect, but would like the senior center group, and again, maybe we can, in next meeting, we can further fine tune and say to them, but what I'm hearing in general is a clear picture of total cost, which I think is going to be coming together, and ongoing cost after it's built. And then the other thing I'm hearing is the size and scope of the building. Do we need it this big? Do we need all of these things? So these are things that and I'm just, again, I'm going to sort of throw this out, Carly. I know you're listening. It is that hopefully they are already on, considering all of this and stuff. So, and then,
Pauline has a question.
yes, Pauline.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Andrew, for recognizing me. Not a question so much as a comment. Has any member of the Finance Committee attended a senior center subcommittee review meeting? I don't know. It's a very long meeting name. But has any of you attended any of those?
I don't go to the meetings.
Yeah, I've missed one. And Carly, please chime in. There's been no discussion about making it a community center, which you all have just talked about. And the price keeps going up and up and up. It was originally 12, now it's 14, now it's 16. I would encourage at least one of your members to participate because they're moving forward to, Carly, help me here, at least preparing something for spring town meeting in April 2025.
Yeah, we're hoping to have, sorry, Pauline, we're so hoping to have, obviously, the costs. These are just estimates at this time.
Right.
But our consultant that we have has recently built several senior centers in Massachusetts. And certainly the cost is high, but unfortunately it's not uncommon post-pandemic. This is what everyone's seeing, increases in the construction industry. But again, this is initial planning. There still is a public process that needs to happen. And, you know, we're going to look at every aspect of it and, you know, what we can do. We don't want to sell ourselves short, not build something big enough, you know, to save a little money at first. And then 5 years from now say, oh, we really should have built this bigger. So, you know, everyone's reviewing that, and there'll certainly be a public process for folks to weigh in during, you know, prior to that town meeting vote.
It just seems here we are, you know, beginning of October, and all this stuff while we have town meeting in April, it's not discussed until the end of March. Like, it's essentially all finalized in the next couple of months, because then you start with the warrant articles and putting everything together, and it all gets in there well before town meeting. And it seems like this is being pushed very quickly. Whereas we had a lot of town meetings, or, you know, Dan was very open to having things for stormwater utility. That again wasn't anything new. It is new, but as far as we're not taxing something new or creating something new, like we're just moving the financing to another specific arm. There was a lot done on that and study done. And here it's just let's get this on town meeting for April. It seems quick.
Andrew?
Mr. Chair, if I might.
Pauline,
Please wait, Pauline.
If I can circle back to you in a few moments, Pauline. We're going
Sure. Okay.
throw some thoughts out here.
Yeah, I agree with you to a point, but I think that's what we're here for, right? We have a position and we have to try and we have to voice our opinion, right? And then eventually it'll be down to a vote. But we do have a say, and I think I mostly agree with your stance on this one, that it needs to be looked at more precisely. And I do watch or read the meeting stuff, so I don't know what time the meetings actually are. I assume they're during the day because they're all retired.
So let me again.
Don't forget Pauline. Sorry.
Oh yeah, Pauline, I'll circle back to you, and I may answer, may touch on what you might be bringing up. So, if you can, please bear with us. So, what I'm thinking is then we've got a meeting in 2 weeks. Is I can put together again. We need FinCom. Suggest and to the senior center working group, you know, make sure we have a clearer picture of costs. What are the ongoing costs? Is this the appropriate size? And again, these things may have already been addressed or will be addressed, but these are, as you mentioned, Andrew, things that we can make our opinion known and
Can we get Barbara to do a workup on the borrowing options? I know there was one number in there, but is there a 15-year note and a 30-year note, or is there a?
Well, I'm sure she could, if they want to put it on town meeting for April, they would have to have those numbers.
I want it before.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying, is I think like she could at least get something.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, rates will change.
In 20%, I think is fine, right?
okay, so I just added to the list then, again, just to clearer picture of cost, ongoing cost, is this the appropriate size?
Could we ask
More detail on financing.
Could we ask Dr. Petrossi to come at the, whatever, maybe not the next one in 2 weeks, but the beginning of November, just to give her time to do this, since she actually has another job as well?
Well, I think if this would be more aptly addressed towards I think what I'm foreseeing is that we have another meeting in 2 weeks. We can put together these bullet points and we can do a final discussion and say, Senior Center Board, and I think that's who Senior Center Planning Board is, working group is who we should address it to. And then here's our things are you considering, and our suggestions and observations. And
I think it would be good to invite them back as well, we invite you to come back to discuss or talk to us.
So, and then once we do that, then we can get a feel for where they are in their process and have they addressed those things and stuff, and then we can, depending on where they are, can we get some sort of update I'm guessing if we let them know the end of October, third week in October, the second week or maybe the first week of November, the third week of November or first week of December, because I'm just thinking of Thanksgiving.
Can I, you want to recognize Pauline first, or?
You have priority bond.
Okay, all right.
And, go ahead, Bob.
So, Carly, I have a question. Are there any state funds being applied to the construction of the facility, or is it simply for the study?
Yeah, eventually that's the plan. There's limited funds, but we're in a good position where we got the planning money, the $300,000
Okay.
From the state. So yes, when we can't apply yet, it's way too early with estimates and whatnot.
Okay.
But we are 100% planning on looking at state grants, yes.
Is there any study or is there any recommendation to put it out to private developers to develop the facility and then lease back? Would the town consider that?
No, there's been no talk about that yet.
So, in my experience as a contractor, typically state-funded projects cost double what they really should cost because of the mandated prevailing wage law. And that doesn't apply to private developers. So in that case, you could reduce the cost, construction cost, by half, and a developer could, lease back to the community, including maintenance, et cetera, at a much lower annual rate.
Yeah, we could certainly look into it, but I want to say, and just, Massachusetts procurement laws as they are, and they're very stringent, I don't think that type of arrangement is likely allowed, but we'll definitely look into it, and it's a good point.
Yeah, I know that they do allow it, because I was a bidder on the Massachusetts State supplementary server facility, which I proposed a building in Fort Devens, and I was second bidder, and there was and I wasn't obligated to build by using prevailing rate. So That's a, you know,
Okay, yeah, we'll look into it.
Yeah.
I'll certainly mention it to Robert and Katie for sure, that you guys discussed it tonight.
Right, and again, well, Carly, I'm just sort of making this bullet points that we will sort of crystallize and review and have available. And Bob, I just added outside funding and private development and leaseback. And,
Thank you very much, Bob, for bringing that up. That's a very, that's an excellent point.
yeah.
So what I would like to do, and Pauline, I haven't forgotten about you, is sort of, I think we've made a good start, a really good start, and really good observations and points, and I think we're doing our job, make people aware. And I do want to throw out that the senior center, again, in my short span here of being involved with FinCom and stuff, I sort of started as the original plan that was going to be a Peroni Park was presented, and then sort of fell apart for lack of better words. But I think the overarching thing that I've seen is that the senior center is a very important thing for the residents of Ayer in general. I think there's a very strong feeling that the senior center is wanted, needed, and is a worthwhile investment for the town. That's the feeling that I've picked up from various meetings I've gone to and everything. And like I said, I did. And I'll throw this out. See, Pauline, I'm not forgetting about you. Is that I stopped by the senior center. That's fun to do, and if you time it right, you can play cribbage.
That's dangerous. They've got they play too often. I just get my butt kicked. I don't want to open myself up to that.
And I did drive by the Bishop Road site today, so that was just interesting. And then I was wondering, I'll just throw this out, as we have availability and things, maybe we can stop, individually stop in at one of the senior center planning committee. Carly, what would be the right term for that? Senior center?
It's a long one, but it's the senior
We need an acronym.
site selection / building committee.
Okay, that's why I was having trouble remembering that.
Yes,
We don't call it the senior
yes,
center
what?
committee.
So
An acronym.
so we, one of us can, individually, we should stop in at the senior center committee.
Carl, you know when the next one is?
That's what I'm trying to look up, but it's not
They
letting me
they
open
just
the
met
town site.
last night. They've been meeting every other Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. They don't meet during the day. It's at night because there's a lot of volunteers from town members that work out of town during the day. So
So
I
that,
don't have in front of me when the next one is, but we can certainly find out, and I can email that over to Kurt.
But generally, they're Wednesdays at 6, or not every Wednesday, but that's the date of the week on Wednesday.
Yeah, yep. So far, that's how they've been doing it.
okay, great. So for next meeting, I'll just get, sort of put together a more formal list of the topics that we've put up, and then individually, we can try to stop in at the senior center committee meetings. So, Pauline, didn't forget you, some other comments on the senior center?
Yes, Kurt, thank you so much. Been waiting patiently, and you've discussed most of what I wanted to share, but I would like to encourage and ask Carly how it could happen that a member of the FinCom be appointed to this senior center committee, since we are now in the millions and millions of dollars. The price keeps going up, and I'll just leave it at that. I've only missed one meeting of the committee, and there's been no public presentation, and I'm happy to know that at least it isn't on the October 28th town meeting warrant. But we're at 16 million now, and I'm sure it's going to go up from there. There's no defined or definite presentation. And from members of the committee I've spoken with privately, there's no final solution. So it would be helpful to have a member of your committee, Kurt, on the senior center site selection building committee. It's a very long meeting name. And that's what I really wanted to share with you all tonight. I have missed only one meeting, and it's challenging. And Eric, I'm appreciative of all your comments tonight, so I just want to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Pauline. So that's a good point. We'll take that under consideration. That'd be another thing we can discuss on our next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask one last question?
Yes.
Where's the last thing? They want to put the borrowing on the spring warrant? Is that?
That's what it sounded.
I think the impression that I've gotten is
I
that,
can just leave that floated into the ether and we get clarification, but that sounds wild if that's true.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. Like how quickly it's moving.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll move on.
I think that comes from there was the second memo from Robert, which has the procedural process for debt exclusion, and he put in there what the actual process is for getting it on, how to get the financing set up, which is again going to be one of our questions, more detail on financing. And eventually then that ends up at town meeting 2/3 vote, and
That's right here.
the next meeting, next normal cycle I'm going to from Robert's memo is April 28th, 2025 town meeting. So I think he just put all this in here. This is what needs to be done. And by the way, the next town meeting is April 28th, 2025.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot to be done. Looking at, I thought we were going to discuss more about this, but the actual financing. But I think this is where our discussion's been good. There's a lot to be done before you can get to the financing step. And then, as you're just noting, boy, that pushes it real tight up against April 28th.
That's what I was saying. That it's not decided in mid-April. It's decided well beforehand to get it all ready and officially in the warrant.
Good.
All right.
All right. Okay, I think we'll move on to the next two topics, and in the fact that I can't talk anymore, no. In the interest of time, I'm just going to give a quick update on the next two topics. The first is department head reports, and we talked about having department heads giving us sort of a mid-year update. In other words, instead of waiting until February and March, so I talked to Robert about that, and he said that the department heads are aware of that and are willing to do that. So we would just need to let him know what department and when we would like to have them do a presentation to us. And my overall feeling was that this is sort of, okay, you're halfway through your year, how are you doing? How are you doing on any projects you did have done? Any projects or new things coming up in the next year or so that we should be aware of? That's what I was thinking that a department head report would be. What other ideas do we have?
Oh, there's a question? I'm totally with that. The only thing is if it's October and that starts in November and then it's kind of Christmas and then it's kind of January, which is kind of that time anyway. Mm-hmm. So
maybe we should go ahead and ask for somebody to stop by in the next meeting?
Should we just start earlier?
Well, no. Okay. Maybe next October 3 plus 4.
I'm just throwing it out there, right? I feel like February and the actual budget process will come around very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whenever, because it doesn't. I mean, yeah, we're just sort of looking for some updates. They don't need a 15 slide deck,
Well, we have
PowerPoint.
the YouGov stuff.
Right. Right, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, again, so maybe a 10, 15, hey, this is police chief, fire chief, DPW.
Who do we want as tribute?
So yeah, so we should
we ask
request
for a
someone
vote?
for next
Yeah.
October 7th?
You want to ask for a volunteer?
Yeah, why don't we do that, just to get
I
the
was
ball
gonna say,
rolling?
or at least a couple, like say, hey, are one of these people available? Because if we say, we'd like the police chief to come and, like, maybe he's just not available then or something, maybe if we say like, could one of these people be available? And then maybe their schedule would work out better than another one.
Okay.
So why don't I go ahead and just ask Robert if he can schedule someone for our next meeting on October 17th?
Is there anyone we're interested in or no?
We
Hey Kurt,
just
I
said Chief
think
Johnson.
I would be helpful for Robert if the committee specifies who they want.
Yeah.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
thank you, Carla.
And we just have to give them a couple weeks' notice, and we can have our department heads available, that's no problem.
I'm going to throw out police chief because fire chief, he's been actually doing a lot of updates because of the ambulance thing. And Dan has been doing lots of updates. So,
Sold.
okay, so then fire chief, okay.
No, police chief.
Police chief, oh my gosh. All right, so we'll
Chief.
ask to see if we can have police chief.
He also had the most interesting budget last time, I think, because he was shy staff.
Okay. Okay, so to October 17th meeting, ask Robert if we can have the police chief do a mid-year update, so to speak.
Yeah, just to be clear, that's like, we don't need a full slideshow. It's just like a quick, like, how are things going sort of thing. Like last time we talked, you were short 3 guys and we were overrun by traffic downtown. And,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
right? So,
Okay, good. So any other comments on that, Jen, Pauline?
Also, maybe the town government, because the 4 parts, the big budgets, besides the 3 departments we talk about, the town government, the town hall, that's also a big part.
Oh.
I don't know who should do that, maybe Robert, I don't know who, but we should also learn what's going on in town hall.
Okay, good point. All right, so then,
Maybe next time, I don't know if we want both of them in the same meeting, but
okay, so we're gonna have police chief for October 17th, and the next 3 that would be up would be fire, DPW, and town hall.
yeah.
Okay, alrighty. Very good. Any other comments? No? Okay, next item is financial reporting. I know I discussed this with Robert earlier this week. Again, the idea of getting what I would call, and again, this is what I threw out, and if you folks can elaborate on that, is that sort of a monthly snapshot of a financial report. And one idea I had would be where are we as far as the budget? And the other idea I had is what are our current balances I think one thing that always comes up is how much, this is what we have in a reserve fund, and it just gets thrown out and it's sort of nebulous, and maybe if we get included in a monthly report would be a budget snapshot and balances.
I would love to have a discussion with, Robert and or Carly or whoever would be pertinent about the stabilization funds, reserve funds and stuff like that. Like, what is the goal? What are we building towards? What is, or, you know what I mean? Like, what level are we trying to cover in an emergency or whatnot? Just
inflation's a heck of a thing, right? So that always needs to go up. Right?
But yeah, it is.
So would that be part of a monthly report, or maybe just a special a special session, I mean, like, no, and then, like I said.
Yeah, I don't think that specifically needs to be part of the monthly report, but just in general, like just as something that would be good for.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so a presentation on,
If you're saving for a new couch, right, eventually you buy the couch.
Exactly.
so a presentation on, if you could just repeat, I'm making some notes, reserve fund.
Stabilization funds.
Stabilization funds.
Because it's hard because like everything the town does is really, case in point, we're discussing the senior center. We can't save up enough for a senior center.
Yep.
Any way you could, building a new fire station or school or anything, like it would just be so much money. So what is the
Unless
goal?
you start
What is-
saving now, right? You build the senior center today and start saving for the next
For the
one.
next one.
Which is maybe the thing to do, right?
I don't know how many people would be up for that. It's hard enough people get twitchy about stormwater utility. Which is essentially sort of like saving
It
up
does-
for the big projects.
Yeah, but it saves them money, right? That's an easier sell, right? Because it's the like, well, you'll get a fee, but that should come out of the general budget, and we'll still be able to maintain the stormwater, so you won't need as many debt exclusions.
Yeah, but it's always risky when you trust the government to spend and save money wisely for a
That's what
future
you're
project.
here for, Eric.
I know, I'm just saying, has anyone ever heard of Social Security?
Some of us are
Well, here
collecting.
the government is very local, so.
Yes, I know, it just, but in
So I
general,
think that
the more
we can
power
trust
and trust.
that Dan and his crew are responsible. But I feel like the senior center thing, I mean, I just really hope that we can kind of somehow lower the cost, somewhere. I mean, so I'm very interested in Bob's idea of somehow, involving private developers as possible bidders. If we can lower, construction costs, because, like I said at the beginning, I forgot where I read it now, but there was an estimate that the annual cost was like, per household was about $300, like 280 something. And as Pauline said, this is an estimate cost, so when the buildings finally built, the actual cost will only go up. So it will get really expensive. So if we can, make that cost lower. And also, I don't really know if we want to be known as the town that attracts seniors. If we get more and more seniors, then we should really consider, eliminating or at least
It's
sort of
a good point, just as far as the future of the town goes.
Yeah.
The transfer station sticker and then, because people are also talking about senior discount for their stormwater utility. If we have I think currently we have maybe 20-25% of the town population is seniors. And so if they all get discounts, that's a big hit to the town's finance.
Sounds like we have a whole meeting to talk about it.
Yeah, that's good topics. Yeah. So just to finish this topic, so financial reporting. So what I'll ask is Robert, and it would be Barbara, who would be, I think she probably already, I know that they have, the department had monthly reports already being published, and again, maybe and I don't want to have her go out and reinvent the wheel when there's stuff probably already there. So maybe for next meeting, she could just, she and Robert can just have some, here's you asked for a monthly report, and I've just put here budget trends. The idea, here's how the budget is looking as of this month. Okay. And then, I'm going to throw out the idea of balances also.
Shouldn't that come out in those reports every month?
What's that?
The month is the spend up to that date for that year, right? So that is already being done. I guess you just have to look for it on those spreadsheets because it's not updated in YouGov.
Yeah. Well, that's what I think. I think the information is there. It just would be nice to have it in again, for us, a high level, here's a high level snapshot of everything, instead of having us to dig through ClearGov and everything like that.
That's what it's called, ClearGov.
Yeah, and then we can just she can roll it up to a. So Eric.
I was gonna say, I hate to go backwards, but something you just said just triggered a thought in my mind as far as department heads and whatnot. I think school committee should be higher up on that list of people that we meet with because
Which one?
of like department heads and
Or
whatnot.
school committee, there's two.
Well, the thing is, we can't quite control school budget because
No.
of the job. I think that's one thing they said. Like,
Well, you sure can, right?
Yeah, we vote on everything. We could control everything. We vote. But I understand what you're saying,
Regional
Jen.
school, like their budget is discussed separately. I forgot the details.
I know, but so my point was that you mentioned, Andrew, the police chief and his budget, and he was missing people and whatnot. It's a little bit more complicated and involved than maybe, a couple of the other departments or something. And I feel like there's been, changes. We talk about increase in costs and everything else, and how are things faring versus what we proposed and how are things looking. I feel like the schools would be a department where that could change a lot of variability and whatnot, where you don't know those things.
All right, so I've just added that to the list then. Fire, DPW, Town Hall, School Committee. Again, maybe they, Dr., I can never remember his name. Brenda, thank you. Could just give, either give us or stop in and give us again, I think what we're looking for is a 10, 15 minute, hey, how you doing? Here's how we're doing. Here's things that have happened, and here's things that are on the radar.
They also didn't accurately plan for the loss of COVID funding last year, right? Which is what hit the town. So it's something that we can look at ahead of time.
Yeah.
I don't know if they didn't plan for it by mistake or didn't care to plan for it.
Well, we can ask him.
Yeah, everything related to the school is so easily politically charged that it's kind of often very difficult to discuss, I feel.
You got a hand raised.
Okay, Pauline, you have a comment?
Two comments now. My first was only related to stormwater, something I heard Jen say. Jen, is there a senior discount for the stormwater system?
Not per se, but you can apply, I'm not, I don't want to say it's a senior discount, but anybody can apply for kind of credit, and then you have to go through a fairly rigorous process according to the regulation that's written now to do that. But seniors certainly can, apply for that credit.
I saw nothing in the most recent documents, and I'm not questioning what you're saying, but
I'm not using the correct term. I'm pretty sure they did not use the term senior discount.
no, it was
In the
not.
regulation, that the draft regulation that they have been discussing, there was definitely ways that you can apply for credit. And then during the meetings, they had talked about, how about, people who can't afford it. And then they said,
I can give an update on that particular topic.
Yeah, I've
Jen
read
and
all of
Pauline.
it, and
So-
I'm not gonna fight this right
I
now
can-
in this committee.
Yeah.
But I've read all of it, and the only entities entitled to any kind of credit are the SIUs.
Yes,
which are-
Pauline, I will address that
not
in
the
just a
resident.
minute.
So.
And
the
then
other issue
your second question?
Second matter I'd like to take up is the school budget, the technical schools particularly. The regional school district, it's an assessment. There's no input from the town. It's yes or no.
Sure, but we can vote no.
Yes, that's what I mean by vote. We can vote no.
So,
Right. It's just simply yes or no, whether it's Ayer Shirley Regional or the Neshoba Valley Technical. We have no say on how they arrange or prepare their budget. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a yes or no. And that's been the case for maybe 10 years now, since we regionalized.
yeah, that's.
Please, look into that stormwater. I am really concerned, okay?
Okay, so, to address your two comments, so again, I was going to asked Robert to have the police chief join our meeting on the 17th, and then we were looking to have fire, DPW, town hall, and I'll discuss the idea of having the school committees stopping in and just giving us an update. We'll throw that out. Keeping in mind what you were saying, and I was sort of had that in the back of my mind also, is that we are sort of once removed from the budget process there, but we still do get presentations from them, so.
Absolutely,
yeah.
and I'm not suggesting not, but we don't have input on their budget. We just say yes or no.
Correct. And then as far as the stormwater, Jen, I think what you were referring to is that there is credits are available depending upon the circumstances of that can be applied for. So that is addressed in the stormwater utility plan and stuff like that. And again, that and then
There's a regulation, so the along with the warrant article, I don't know, but if the warrant article passes, then there will be, the town will draft the regulations to go with that.
Correct.
And in that regulation, there is a very substantial section about applying credit. It's not easy, but individual households can apply for credit.
Well, individual households and businesses can apply for the credit.
Yeah.
Right, and again, that will be
Yeah.
part of the final stormwater regulations that are put together. And then as far as, I just would throw this out, the discount on a senior discount on the stormwater, that would be part of the rate review setting when the actual rates would be set for the stormwater utility enterprise fund. That would be done by the rate review committee and select board. So that's, there's nothing set in stone on it at all.
Wouldn't it need to be in the regulations that you could offer a senior discount?
This feels like a non-issue.
Yeah.
I know, I just got brought up and now there's confusion.
Can we just move on? It sounds
Yeah.
like there's no senior discount. You can apply for credits if there's for some
Yeah.
remediation, and if you can't afford it.
Yep, that sounds
Okay.
good. Very good.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm the chair. Y'all need to read the warrant article. There are no senior discounts. You must comply with EPA regulations for any kind of credit, and the only credits so far available are for the significant industrial users. Not for seniors, not for resident, not for seniors. Carly, help me with this.
Well, I think, I hear what you're saying, and I think, again, this is, we've got sort of off track here. The main takeaway is that these are things that will be determined as the regulations are put together.
Finance Committee is responsible to advise the residents and the taxpayers. You are our watchdogs. If you all don't understand the regulations, I am sorry, but please learn them and understand them before October 28th, because this, while not overly burdensome.
Kurt, if you could defend us.
The residents, it is something nobody
Pauline?
understands.
Pauline, we're all set. Thank you for your input. As I mentioned, the regulations will be put together, and we will be aware of that and stay on top of that.
The regulations on the
And
website,
we're
on the
done.
web.
We're done.
Absolutely,
We're
Jim.
done. Thank you.
Just put it on mute.
Okay. Very good. Schedule the next meeting, which is going to be October 17th, Thursday at 6 p.m. And we've got Senior Center. We're going to sort of finalize a list of things to be looked at. Police chief and presentation, and more details on a financial monthly report. So, okay. I think we are all set. The last thing on the agenda is public comments. We'll throw that out one more time. Anything?
Or anything not covered.
Okay, very good. I believe we've covered everything. Do we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Jim?
I.
Good, thank you. The meeting is adjourned as of 7:16 PM. Thank you. Good night.